What's up, guys? Welcome back to today's episode of The Sports Sermon. We are brought to you by Scooch, the most functional phone case on the market. Check out ScoochCase.com to get yours today and use the code SPORTS18, sports with a Z, of course, to get a 10% discount on your order. Stay tuned till the end for a special Scooch giveaway as well. But now, today's episode.
And welcome inside the Sports Sermon. I am Dylan Staggy here today with Jason Gandhi and Dan Majors. And today we are back for another NFL team preview. Today is going to be the San Francisco 49ers, who a season ago traded for Jimmy Garoppolo mid-season. And what looked to be a miserable season ended off to be a pretty solid one for the 49ers if you only count those last 5 games where they finished 5-0 with Jimmy G as their starting quarterback. Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy G look to have a solid connection, but are you guys buying the Jimmy G hype, and was he overpaid this offseason, also getting a new contract?
So, I mean, it's risky to pay anybody a 5-year, $137 million contract. Ask the Raiders and Colts how they feel about theirs right now. I mean, it's risky. He played 6.5 regular season games last year, but from their perspective, he passed every single test. There was not much that you can hate on Garoppolo, so I do like the move. He's a franchise quarterback, and as we know, those don't come around often.
Yeah, he was waiting on his moment for a while now, and now he has the team to go get it done. For being one of the most expensive contracts, then yes, he was definitely a little overpaid, but I think it's worth it. Like Jason just said, you don't get many franchise quarterbacks.
I'm not quite buying the hype just yet. Obviously, he translated to wins, but he only threw for 7 touchdowns and 5 interceptions last year. And also, you might say those last 2 games, the Jags and the Rams are both great wins against great playoff teams. But neither
Jags had to win that game. I watched that one the entire. The Jags had to win that game, and they did.
To do what?
To be able to secure home field advantage and stuff. The Jags were very much trying that game.
I think they were both in the playoffs, and I think at that point, neither of them were truly.
The Jags were 1,000% in it. I know that. I didn't watch the Rams-Niners game, so I don't remember. Honestly, to be honest, I don't remember that game at all. But the Jags game, it was a shootout, and the Jags were winning by a lot. They got complacent, and Jimmy G let it come back. The Jags had to win that game for certain reasons. There was a lot riding on the line for the Jaguars.
Yeah. I still think he was overpaid, too. I mean, 5 games for $137.5 million is pretty crazy. I mean, just ask Brock Osweiler about that. So,
I mean, but that's
not quite the same.
That's not fair.
Yes, it is.
That is not fair.
They're not quite.
Brock Osweiler and Jimmy Garoppolo had much different career paths so far.
What do you mean?
Jimmy Garoppolo got to sit behind the greatest quarterback of all time for multiple years.
Brock
Osweiler sat behind a bum-ass Peyton Manning. That was horrible.
You don't think Peyton Manning can teach him anything about football?
I didn't say that. I said a bum Peyton Manning where he wasn't good.
So what does that have to do with Brock Osweiler?
I'm telling you. That's what I'm saying. Then he went and got paid to go to the Texans, who had nothing around him at the time besides DeAndre Hopkins. They did not have a running back at the time. They did not have that good of a defense. They just had J.J. Watt. Then you look at what the Niners have built around it. The Niners have committed everything to building around Jimmy Garoppolo. The Texans did not do that. Brock Osweiler also did not look as good as Jimmy Garoppolo has in every single time we have seen Jimmy Garoppolo. If you watch those games and don't just look at the box scores, Jimmy Garoppolo looked very good the entire time he played. He looked very good.
I'm not saying he looked bad, but I mean, I'm just saying because of the sample size was very small. I think you have to say he was overpaid at least.
I mean, every quarterback. I mean, I'm sure the Raiders would say Derek Carr's overpaid. I'm sure the Colts probably could look back and say Andrew Luck was overpaid. All those guys are probably getting overpaid when they don't. But, you have to do that. You don't have an option. You're not paying Jimmy Garoppolo. You're not paying Derek Carr. You're not paying Andrew Luck. You have to pay those guys. Because if you don't, you're going to be at the bottom of the league again. Where Garoppolo, none of us have him going 4-12. What were they before him? They were 1 win. They didn't win a game. They only won 1 against the Giants. They won 1 game without Jimmy Garoppolo, and then they won 5. Look at the stats all you want, but they won games. They lost to the Colts and the Cardinals last year. Those teams were horrible without Jimmy Garoppolo. And now you they beat a team like the Jaguars, they beat the Titans, they beat the Texans. Like, they beat just as good, if not better, teams then with Jimmy Garoppolo than without him. Like, obviously, I don't think it's really much of a debate of whether you had to pay him or not. Like, you have to pay the guy.
I don't know if you pay him $137.5 million though. That's just absolutely crazy to me.
I mean, it's just the way the market's going. We see it every time. A good quarterback is a free agent. He's going to get paid, and he's going to be the highest paid quarterback.
I just think the sample size for that money is.
So you wouldn't have paid him? You're telling me you would have let Jimmy Garoppolo walk?
I mean,
no way.
Not that much money, though.
You're not being John Lynch and letting him walk. You're just not.
You can't let him walk, but you can't also pay him.
Yes, you have to pay him that. He's not going to take less. He's not going to not go as highest paid quarterback. He just took a 1-win team to 5 wins in 5 weeks. He's going to get paid by somebody.
Yeah, but
the Bills would have paid him double that if they could. Like, there were teams that would have paid up for him for sure.
It's just, I mean, I think it's very hard for him to live up to that contract, though.
I mean, yeah, but that's like I'm saying.
Like, he is overpaid. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's not. Like, I don't think that's just him. I think there are multiple guys that are overpaid, but like you have to do it.
But he's still overpaid.
But you have to do it, and you're saying you wouldn't do it, which would just be stupid, and you'd be a winless team.
But
like that'd just be stupid of you to pay him, or to not.
But he's still overpaid.
But you have to.
I didn't say you didn't have to.
Yes, you did. You said you wouldn't pay him. That's so stupid if you would not. Pay
I said
him.
it was insane for that kind of money, for that kind of sample size.
He was going to get that money.
Just because other teams would do it doesn't mean it's insane.
Yeah, he's a little overpaid.
But like you have to do it. Yeah. Andrew Luck is overpaid. Derek Carr is overpaid. Like these guys are overpaid, but you have to pay them.
I mean, I don't think Andrew Luck or Derek Carr is overpaid.
Did you watch Derek Carr play football last year? Did you see it? Actually, you didn't see Andrew Luck play football. Get it because he's hurt. Like, yes, these guys are overpaid.
But they make tremendous impacts on their teams.
Not since his contract, they haven't. What have they done since their contract? And this is my own team with the Raiders. Like, I'm not being a hater on Andrew Luck. Like, this is my own team. Derek Carr looked like poop last year. I already put E.J. Manuel in. Like, he didn't look good. Andrew Luck couldn't throw a football. Like, these guys are getting overpaid. Yes, but they have to.
Okay, but it's still an insane amount of money for 5 games.
We agree.
We agree he's overpaid, but like it's not crazy. Like I was not surprised. Oh yeah, that makes sense. He has to get that much. Like are you gonna be shocked when Aaron Rodgers gets that money? No, he's gonna get.
But Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl.
1 when he should have 3. Like if anything, he's underperformed in Green Bay too.
But he's Aaron Rodgers.
This is Jimmy Garoppolo. Put some respect on his name.
5 games versus like 100 for Aaron Rodgers. I think that's a different situation.
Jimmy Garoppolo is a franchise quarterback. They are all getting paid the same value. When their time is up, they are going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. If you're not going to acknowledge that, then that's just being ignorant about it. Like they are going to do this every single time. A franchise quarterback is available for a contract. They will be getting paid the most money and being the highest paid quarterback in the league. That's what's going to happen.
Okay, but it's still crazy that's happening.
No, it's not. Like, it's just realistic. Like, it is what it is. Like, that's just fact. Like, it's happened the last 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's all crazy. I mean, it's a lot of money to give out.
So then Andrew Luck and Derek Carr are overpaid. You just made my point full circle. These guys are getting overpaid.
I said
they
were
they weren't. You literally just told me that they were not overpaid. You literally just said that Derek Carr and Andrew Luck are not overpaid. Word for word.
But Jimmy Garoppolo is overpaid because of his...
They're on the same level.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. In terms of a franchise, Jimmy Garoppolo is on the exact same level as any of these franchise quarterbacks you want to talk about.
Jimmy Garoppolo has won 5 games.
He took a 1-win team to undefeated.
But it's 5 games. Andrew Luck and Derek Carr have been to the playoffs.
Great. That's awesome. They're all doing the same thing. They're all leading a not good franchise to be successful. I love Derek Carr. I like Andrew Luck. Like, I like these players that we're talking about. The fact of the matter is, they're all overpaid, but you have to do it. They're all equal. They're all getting paid on the same pay scale. When your time is up, you are going to be the highest paid. Whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr, Tom Brady, I guess Tom Brady's not, but Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, whoever the heck you want to talk about. Like, these guys are going to get paid the highest amount when their time is up because you're not going to let them walk. Somebody will pay them if you don't. The Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, whoever you guys want to talk about, the Jets, will pay them. Someone's going to pay him $5-year, $137 million. And that's going to come from somebody. There's no way the quarterbacks don't. Like, that's just the world we live in today. Is at the NFL, the quarterback, if you are a franchise quarterback, will be getting the most money that we've ever seen before every single time.
Okay, but $137.5 million for 5 games is still crazy. But let's move on to the weapons that the Niners have surrounded Jimmy Garoppolo with. Do you guys like them?
Yeah. Jerick McKinnon's a very versatile and tough back who I believe can be the number one guy for this team. He's a huge weapon out of the passing game as well. Marquise Goodwin and Pierre Garçon are thunder and lightning, but Garçon's a possession receiver who will get you 5 to 10 yards every time. Marquise Goodwin can be the downfield guy who beats teams time after time. George Kittle's a guy that Dylan, you really liked for fantasy, and you talked about him a lot. We saw a connection with him and Garoppolo at the end. This is a very good offense.
Yeah, the main thing I like is the protection. They got Jimmy G and McGlinchey, Richburg, and Cooper. You have to protect your most expensive players, so they did a good job of that. They also got Jerick McKinnon, Dante Pettis, who I think will be pretty solid also.
I'm not sold that these are great weapons around him this year. I don't really believe in Pierre Garçon as a number 1 wide receiver. He is 31 and coming off an injury now.
He's the number 2. Marquise Goodwin's the number 1.
But I don't like Marquise Goodwin as a number 1 either.
Did you see him play with Jimmy Garoppolo the last week? Did you watch these 5 games? Like, I'm actually being serious. Did you watch these 5 games?
Yes, but it's 5 games, not a whole season.
Who cares? Like, that's all you could. It's not like he was benched the first half of the season. Like, you traded for him when you could. Like, who cares when it happened? It happened for consistency.
5 games is not consistent.
Against the Jags and the Rams. Like, Dylan, what are you saying right now?
5 games is not consistency, dude. He won 5 straight. That's consistent.
This team won 1 game. Do you forget how bad this team was?
Yes,
this
they
team
were very
was
bad.
Literally could lose to me playing football. They were so bad. Like, it was embarrassing to watch the 49ers play football. And one guy changed this franchise. And made Marquise Goodwin look like a legit number 1. Made George Kittle a sleeper in fantasy. If anybody can tell me where George Kittle went to college, we'll pay them. Like, no one knows where George Kittle went to college. But now people are talking about him. Like, these guys, Jimmy Garoppolo changed this franchise.
Okay, for 5 games. I mean, I want to see it over a whole season, though.
Okay.
I still think that Marquise Goodwin isn't really consistent yet. I think Dante Pettis is interesting, but I don't know if he can produce a lot this year. I like Jerick McKinnon, but I still think the Niners lack a true workhorse running back this year.
George Kittle went to Iowa, by the way. Dan just looked it up for us. So shout out the Iowa Hawkeyes. We're in the Big Ten West this year.
All right, let's talk about the defense, though. Can the defense continue on last season's improvement?
So they finished 24th, and I see them getting about a similar finish, maybe 18th to 20th. But unless one of the first rounders in DeForest Buckner, Arik Armstead, or Solomon Thomas completely dominate the front line, and Richard Sherman finds the fountain of youth, I don't love this defense.
Yeah, the Richard Sherman signing was smart, as it's a 3-year deal with only $7 million guaranteed. So if it doesn't work out, then they get a low-cost veteran that can still help this team. The defense as a whole will probably be about the same as last year, though.
Yeah.
So
Richard Sherman's getting roasted and toasted in training camp. Like, every other day there's a video about him, like Marquise Goodwin just skirting right past him. Like, it is real bad. I feel bad for the dude. I wish he would be so good again. I loved Richard Sherman when he was good.
Yeah, I mean, I think the defense can be a little better, but I think there's still a lot of questions. How much can the young defensive lineman improve? Can you count on Reuben Foster? And how good is Richard Sherman these days?
Not. He's slow and gets burned by receivers every other day in training camp.
Yeah. All right, I want to hear you guys' record prediction, their place in the division, and whether the Niners make the playoffs this season.
So I'm going 8-8, second in the division, not making the playoffs. The Niners hit the final stretch with 3 of their 4 games coming at home, so that's really nice for this Niner team. Also, they don't play the Patriots, which feels kind of broken to me, because I really want to see Jimmy G coming home and upsetting Tom Brady in Foxborough. What could be better than that?
yeah, I have it 9-7, second in the division, and maybe making the playoffs. I have not made my decision on that yet. So yeah, I think Jimmy G will have a really solid year.
Is he worth the money, Dan?
Yes.
I think the Niners finish at 7-9. They're second in the division and do not make the playoffs this season. But I think that's all we've got today for the San Francisco 49ers episode. Let us know what you think about Jimmy Garoppolo in the comments below. And if you comment on this video and subscribe, you'll be entered into a contest for a Scooch Wingman case, as Jason mentioned in the introduction to the video. Also, that code that he mentioned, sports18 for 10% off, we're going to go ahead and make that 15% off for you guys at scoochcase.com. But that's all we've got for today's episode, and we will see you soon with some more NFL team previews.
Bye-bye.